I still remember the day I found out. It's burned into my mind like a bad scar. I was supposed to pick up her dress from the dry cleaner, just a quick trip before dinner. The house was silent when I got back, which wasn't unusual. She'd often work late or meet up with friends. But today something felt off. I could smell the faint scent of perfume I didn't recognize drifting from her closet. It was a clean, floral smell, but strange, and it set my nerves on fire. I paused outside the closet door, my heart pounding. I was about to knock when I saw the corner of a shirt sticking out from behind her clothes, something unfamiliar, dark blue with a faint trace of lipstick on the collar. My stomach sank. I hesitated, then reached in and pulled out a crumpled piece of fabric. It was a torn piece of his shirt, Tom's shirt. Our neighbor. The guy I'd grown up with, the one who always waved hello, who helped me with yard work, who I trusted as if he were family. My hands went cold, my pulse hammering in my ears. Then I saw the next thing, her phone. Lying face down on her dresser. I couldn't see the screen, but I just knew. I gently flipped it over and saw a message thread. The words burned into my eyes. Can't wait to see you tonight, miss you already. My fingers curled into fists. I felt my jaw tighten, and for a moment I couldn't breathe. Every lesson I'd ever read about staying calm evaporated. That moment, the evidence in my hand, the betrayal I'd uncovered, hit me like a freight train. How long had I been blind? How many signs had I brushed off? She'd always been a little evasive when I pressed about Tom, but I'd attributed it to harmless neighborly awkwardness. Now I saw it for what it was. The dinner plans, the late nights, the excuses about helping with a project. All lies. My mind spun with questions, and yet I already knew the truth. This wasn't just a fling. It was something deeper, something that was meant to ruin everything before we even started planning a future together. I clenched my fists until my nails bit into my palms. My stomach twisted like a knot. I felt betrayed, angry, and strangely numb. All at once, I threw the shirt back behind the clothes. My hands trembled, not from exhaustion but from pure rage. I couldn't face her now, not without a plan. I knew I had to do something. I had to piece this mess into a revenge that would hit where it hurt. I wanted her to feel what I felt, that sick, hollow ache of betrayal, but magnified. And Tom, he needed to be taken down a notch, reminded that family isn't something you betray lightly. I sat on the bed, trying to breathe through the chaos. My mind raced with ideas, none of which were small. I'd gather the evidence, get her to confront her lies, and then I'd give her a taste of her own medicine. She'd see what it was like to be played and used. But first I had to act. I had to be smart. If she suspected anything, the whole plan would crumble before I even got started. I looked around my house, trying to settle my racing heart. Every nerve in my body was alive, tense. I knew that the moment I stepped out that door to confront her, my life would never be the same. So I waited, listening to the quiet hum of the house, my mind already rehearsing the words I'd say. Because I wasn't just going to let her get away with this. Not without payback. Not without making her feel what I felt. And Tom, well, he was about to learn that crossing the line with someone's wife has consequences, big ones. The clock ticked on. I knew I had to be patient, but patience had never been my strong suit. I was ready to strike. Soon. I spent the next couple of days like a predator circling its prey. Every time I saw her, I could feel the tension crackle in the air. She'd catch my stare and look away quick, her face pale, eyes darting around as if she was trying to hide something. I could smell her perfume, but now it felt like a lie, like she was trying to cover up what she'd done. I kept my cool on the surface, but inside I was boiling. I couldn't keep quiet forever. The moment was coming, and I knew exactly what I wanted to say. But I needed more than just her confession. No, I needed proof that she knew. I knew proof that I could use. I started collecting every piece of evidence I could find. Text messages, photos, anything that proved this wasn't a one-time slip-up. I knew Tom was just as involved, if not more, so I had to be smart about how I exposed everything. One afternoon, I took her phone while she was out. I went through her messages, her photos, her social media. It was like opening a Pandora's box. I saw the photos of Tom, the intimate messages, the way they'd talk about meeting up, how she'd hide it from me but not well enough. Every word made my stomach churn. I felt like vomiting, but I forced myself to stay calm. I needed to be calculated, not rash. She'd always been the kind of woman who could hide her feelings, but her messages betrayed her. There was no denying it anymore. The evidence was stacking up. I found a video she'd taken of Tom in her bed just a few days before the wedding. I played it over and over, feeling the rage build in my chest. How could she do this? Right before our life was about to begin. I felt my fists clench tighter. This wasn't just about cheating, it was about betrayal of the worst kind. I realized I had what I needed now. The game was set. I sat down with her later that night, pretending everything was fine. She looked nervous, fidgeting with her hands. I decided to play nice at first. I wanted her to let her guard down, to think she'd caught a break. I looked her in the eyes and said, "We need to talk about us, about what I found." Her face lost its color. "What are you talking about?" I pulled out her phone, showed her the messages. This is what I've been looking for, and I'm not stupid, I know about Tom." Her voice cracked. "It's not what it looks like, we were just—" "You lied to my face," I cut her off, voice low but steady. "For months, you think I didn't notice how distant you've been, how you always took those secret calls, all those late nights. Was it Tom all along?" She broke down then, tears streaming down her face. "It's not like I wanted to hurt you. I didn't mean for it to get this far." I looked at her, feeling a strange mix of anger and disappointment. "You didn't mean for it to get this far. You lied right to my face, and now you're acting like you're the victim. You're damn right I'm angry." I knew I had to keep my composure. I needed her to think I was just hurt, not enraged. But inside, I was already planning my revenge, knowing I'd make her regret ever crossing that line. Because she was going to learn that betrayal has consequences, and I was about to be the one to deliver them. I told her I'd think about what to do next, but I already had my plan. It was simple: expose her, embarrass her, make sure everyone knew what she really was. I'd give her a taste of her own medicine. She'd see that betrayal isn't something you can hide forever. As she sobbed and begged, I just sat there, feeling the weight of everything. I'd lost someone I trusted, and now I'd take back control. The game was on, and I was ready to play. Over the next few days, I worked on my plan with relentless focus. Every detail mattered. I started by gathering more concrete evidence, screenshots of every message, photos I found on her phone, even a few snippets from her social media accounts that showed her closeness with Tom. I knew I had to be thorough. This wasn't just about making her feel guilty. I wanted her to understand that betrayal comes with consequences. Meanwhile, she stayed quiet, avoiding eye contact, trying to act like everything was normal. But I could see her eyes darting around, anxious, as if she knew I was scheming. I loved how her face fluttered with guilt, how her hands trembled when she thought I wasn't looking. That was all the fuel I needed to keep going. One morning, I decided to set my trap. I invited her out for a talk, pretending I wanted to clear the air. I also had a plan to get her alone, no witnesses, no distractions. I wanted her to believe I was going easy on her, but I was just biding my time. When she arrived at the park, I was already waiting on a worn picnic bench, feeling the rough wood under my palms. She looked nervous, her face pale, eyes flickering with worry. I let her sit, then said, "We need to get this out in the open. I've seen enough to know what's going on. I'm not stupid anymore." She looked down, fiddling with her bracelet. "I didn't mean for it to go this far. Tom, he's just a friend." I shook my head. "No, he's not. I saw the messages, the photos. You've been lying to me from the start, and I want to know how long this has been going on." She looked like she might cry. "Since before the wedding. I was stupid. I thought I could stop. It's over now, I swear." I leaned forward, feeling my jaw tight. "That's not enough. I'm tired of your lies. I want to make sure everyone knows what you did. I want to expose you, and Tom too." Her eyes widened. "You're not serious. Please don't do this. I'll leave. I'll go far away. Just don't ruin everything." I felt a flicker of satisfaction, but I kept my voice steady. "Ruin everything? No, I'm just making sure you understand. You don't get to betray me and walk away clean. You're going to pay for this one way or another." She looked at me, tears streaming down her cheeks, pleading silently. I smiled coldly, the kind of smile that said I'd already made up my mind. Later that night, I started executing the next phase of my plan. I sent out a few carefully crafted messages, making sure everyone we knew would see them. A post on social media, a message to a few friends, even some planted evidence that would make her friends question her. I wanted her to realize she wasn't just hurting me, she was damaging her reputation too. I also contacted Tom directly. I made it clear I knew everything, and I told him I wasn't interested in playing nice anymore. I told him he'd made his choice and now he had to face the consequences. The message was simple. You crossed a line you can't uncross. Stay away from her or I'll make sure everyone knows what you're really about. By the time I was done, I felt a strange calm settle over me. I knew this was only the beginning, but I also knew what I was doing would make her regret ever choosing to cheat. I did want her to suffer alone. I wanted her to feel the weight of her betrayal crushing her publicly, painfully. That night I lay in bed, feeling a strange mix of satisfaction and emptiness. I'd made my move. It was time to see how she would react when everything started unraveling. One thing was clear. Once I was done, nothing would be the same. And she'd finally understand that crossing me was a mistake she wouldn't get to walk away from. The fallout came faster than I expected. The next morning, my phone buzzed nonstop with notifications. Friend requests, messages, comments, people started talking. Some of her close friends reached out, confused, then angry once I explained what I knew. I had sent the posts, screenshots, messages, even the video. Everything was out there. I didn't hold back. My goal was to make her regret the day she ever thought she could betray me and get away clean. It was almost satisfying to see her face when she realized the truth was out. She called me immediately, voice trembling, desperation thick in her tone. "Please don't do this, it's not what it looks like. I was going to tell you, stop." I cut her off sharply. "You've lied to me for months. You thought you could get away with it. I've got the proof and I'm not taking it back." She sobbed on the other end. "I'm sorry, I never meant to hurt you like this. Please just forgive me." "I don't want your apologies," I said coldly. "You made your choice. Now everyone will know what you really are." The reactions poured in, some in disbelief, others angry. Her reputation was taking a hit, and I could tell the shame was sinking in deep. I wanted her to feel this humiliation. It was part of the revenge. I'd been pushed to the edge, and now I was making sure she'd never forget the consequences of her betrayal. But I wasn't done yet. I had one more move planned, something that would leave her completely exposed and powerless. I reached out to Tom directly, just as I'd promised. I sent him a message, calm but firm. "You crossed a line, Tom. I know what you did, and I suggest you stay away from her. If I see you near her again, I'll do everything I can to ruin you publicly." He responded quickly, trying to deny everything, but I didn't care. I had the evidence and I had my plan. I was going to make sure Tom felt the same pain she had. I wasn't going to just punish her. I wanted to destroy the part of her that thought she could get away with cheating and betrayal. The real shocker came when she begged to meet. She showed up at my apartment that evening, tears streaming down her face. She looked tiny, broken, like she'd lost everything. "Please," she whispered, voice thick with emotion. "I'll do anything, just don't destroy me. I messed up, but I love you, I swear it." I looked at her, feeling nothing but a cold detachment. "Love, you think you can just say that after what you did? You don't get to decide how I feel. You lost my trust and now I'm taking back control." She sank to her knees, clutching my hands. "I'll leave him, I promise. Just don't ruin everything, please." That's when I knew I had her exactly where I wanted her, on her knees, begging for mercy after betraying me in the worst way. I had my revenge, but I wasn't finished. The final blow was coming and I was ready to deliver it. I already knew what I would do next, how I'd make her see that her actions had consequences. I looked her in the eyes and said, "You're leaving and I want the keys to the house now. Pack your bags. You're out of my life for good." Her face went pale, but she nodded, knowing she had no choice. I snatched the keys from her trembling hands and watched her walk away, knowing this was the end of our story. In that moment, I realized something. The pain she caused me was a mirror of the pain I was about to inflict on her. And honestly, I felt a strange sense of relief. It wasn't about revenge for revenge's sake anymore. It was about reclaiming my life and dignity. That's what really mattered. The silence after she left was deafening. I sat alone in the apartment, the only sound the faint hum of the refrigerator and my own ragged breathing. My stomach had twisted into a knot, but I felt a strange sense of clarity. I had done what I needed to do. The Truth was out, her reputation was shattered, and Tom was on his way to feeling just as humiliated as she had. I wasn't going to let them walk away without consequences. I took a long, slow breath, trying to settle the storm inside me. But I knew I wasn't done. Not yet. There was one last thing I had to do, something that would make sure she never thought she could betray me and get away clean. If she was going to leave and try to start over, I was going to make damn sure she remembered the price she paid. The next step was straightforward. I had to make sure everyone knew the full story. I crafted a concise message, something direct, no unnecessary drama, just the facts. I posted it on my social media profile, along with a link to the evidence I'd collected. It was a calculated move. I wanted her reputation to be in ruins, but I also wanted her to realize that you can't betray someone and expect to walk away unscathed. For the first few hours, the responses flooded in. Some people sided with her, calling her a victim, trying to minimize what she did. But most saw through the lies. The comments turned ugly fast. Old friends, acquaintances, even colleagues started questioning her integrity. The truth was out, and there was no taking it back now. I felt a rush knowing I'd finally taken control. Then I turned my attention to Tom. I sent him a message telling him I knew everything and that he had made a terrible mistake. I warned him that if I saw him near her or lying about what happened, I'd go public with everything. My words were calm but firm. This wasn't just about revenge, it was about sending a message. Cheating, betrayal, they come with a price. The fallout was immediate. Phone calls, texts, even some confrontations in person. Her boss, the local community, mutual friends, all started asking questions. Some blamed her outright. Others tried to defend her, but I didn't care. I'd already done my damage. The weight of it all started to crush her reputation, and I could tell she realized it too. That realization lit a fire in her eyes when she finally saw the extent of what I'd done. But even as everything crumbled around her, I knew I wasn't finished. I still had one last move, one that would leave her utterly powerless. I spent the next day setting up the final act. I hired a private investigator. I needed one last piece of evidence, something that would break her completely. I wasn't interested in just hurting her feelings. I wanted her to feel devastated, exposed, and helpless. The investigator delivered what I asked for, proof that she'd been lying about her whereabouts, proof that she'd been planning her escape from the mess she created. It was the final nail in her coffin. I printed everything out and prepared to confront her face to face. I wanted her to see what she'd lost, her marriage, her reputation, her dignity, everything. When I knocked on her door, she looked like a ghost, hollowed out and defeated. She didn't bother to deny anything. When I presented her with the evidence, her face crumpled. Her shoulders slumped and she looked at me with those glassy eyes, knowing she'd lost. I saw the realization in her face that she had no way out, that her life was forever changed. I handed her the keys to the house and told her to leave. "It's over," I said quietly. "No more lies, no more betrayals. You made your choice. Now live with it." She took her bags and left without a word. As I watched her walk away, I felt a strange mix of relief and emptiness. I'd finally reclaimed what was mine. The pain she caused me was gone, replaced by the cold satisfaction of justice. And in that moment, I realized something clear. Sometimes the only way to fix a broken heart is to break the one that caused it. Revenge isn't about revenge. It's about taking back control when life tries to throw you down. And that's exactly what I did. That night I sat alone in my apartment, the silence finally settling over the chaos I'd created. I looked around at the empty space where she used to be, her scent, her belongings, the memories we shared, all gone now. I felt a strange calm, like I'd finally taken control of my life again. It was as if all the anger and pain had been boiling beneath the surface, and now, with my final move, I'd poured it all out and extinguished the flames. I picked up the key she had handed me earlier, the one to our house. I held it in my hand, feeling the cold metal bite into my palm. That key represented the end of her chapter in my life, the closing act of a betrayal that nearly destroyed me. I knew I'd never forget what happened, but I also knew I wouldn't let it define me. I was done being a victim. With a deep breath, I stepped outside and walked to the front door of the house. I turned the key in the lock, feeling the satisfying click as it turned. I took one last look at the door, then pushed it open, walking away from what was once supposed to be our future. I left the house behind, knowing I'd start over from scratch. A fresh start, free from lies and betrayal. As I closed the door behind me, I felt a weight lift off my shoulders. The anger, the betrayal, the humiliation. It was all behind me now. I'd taken everything back, piece by piece, and come out stronger. That's what revenge taught me. Sometimes you have to burn everything down just to rebuild better. Walking away that night, I realized something vital. No matter how deep the pain, no matter how betrayed you feel, you have the power to choose your response. I could have stayed broken, let bitterness consume me. But instead, I chose to be the one who took control. I took back my dignity, my respect, and my peace of mind. Now I just focus on moving forward. I let go of the past, knowing that I did what I had to do to reclaim my life. Trust may be fragile, but I've learned that sometimes the only way to heal is to cut out what's toxic and start fresh. So if there's one thing I can tell anyone reading this who's going through something similar, sometimes revenge isn't about hurting others, it's about saving yourself. You have the strength to rise from the ashes, even when everything's burned down around you. Just remember, real power is in knowing when to walk away and rebuild on your own terms.